Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. And, wow, what a game we had last night for Monday night. We had Pittsburgh hitting into Cincinnati. Cincinnati choked that one away. And let's see, what else did we miss? Okay, oh yeah, Ryan Shazier left that game with a bad injury. Still no real updates really on his condition right now. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's going to be suspended for one game this Sunday after that hit he had on Vontaze Burfict. Is it Burfict? Or Burfict, I think it's Burfict, but yeah, he laid down a block on Burfict and he hit him with his helmet and then stood over him after. I think that's what got him the suspension right there. And then the safety, is it from Cincinnati? I don't know how to pronounce the name. I think it's like Ikola, something like that. He hit Antonio Brown in the end zone. He's going to be suspended for one game too. It was just a crazy game. Just one of those big rivalry games. Usually the ones we see between the Ravens and Steelers. Usually don't see the Steelers and Bengals really going at it like this. Usually it's just the Steelers just beating up on them. But yeah, Bengals made it close, and you know what? They didn't even make it close the right way either. They were up big. They were up 17-3 at the end of the first half, and then, like I said, they pretty much just choked away the game right there. Pittsburgh ended up winning 23-20. Let's see, Ben Roethlisberger, he had 40 passes, completed 24 of them, had 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Le'Veon Bell had 18 carries, 76 yards, 5 receptions, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. I don't know if you remember me talking about it yesterday, but guy I was playing in fantasy football, which was my uncle, he had Le'Veon Bell in Pittsburgh's defense. Luckily, Pittsburgh's defense didn't do anything, and Le'Veon Bell just did enough to where he could have a good game, but he still let me win in my fantasy league. I ended up winning by 0.6 points, like 0.6 of a point, I guess you could say. So 6 more yards and I would have lost, but didn't. Thank you, Le'Veon Bell, for having a good game, but doing enough to where, you know what, you play well, Steelers play well, they won, but you know what, I still got my win, so it all worked out pretty well. As for Antonio Brown, he had 8 receptions for 101 yards, 1 touchdown. I guess those 2 practices that he missed didn't really do anything for him right there. Andy Dalton, he had 36 passes, completed 21 of them, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2 of those touchdowns were to A.J. Green, who had 7 receptions for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon left the game in the first quarter with a concussion. He finished the first quarter, though, with 7 carries for 34 yards. And after that, Giovanni Bernard came in, took over for the rest of the game. He had 13 carries for 77 yards. And then Brandon LaFell, he had 4 receptions for 55 yards. And let's get into the scoring summary right here for the game. Let me pull it up right here. Yeah, like I said, it's just the Bengals were playing well in the first half, and they pretty much just, I don't know what happened to the Bengals. It's like they were winning 17-3, but you had it in the back of your hand. You're like, you know what? The Steelers are going to come back just because, like, it's something you could feel. Like, you just know when teams are going to come back or end up winning games, and it just pretty much had that feeling of it. But, yeah, let me get into the scoring summary right here. In the first quarter, Randy Bullock kicked a field goal, which made it 3-0. A.J. Green had an 8-yard touchdown pass from Andy Dalton, which made it 10-0. Second quarter comes, A.J. Green, 15-yard touchdown pass from Andy Dalton, which made it 17-0. Chris Boswell kicks a field goal with no time left in the first half, which makes it 17-3. Bengals up still. Third quarter comes, Le'Veon Bell catches a screen from Ben Roethlisberger and takes that all the way for a 35-yard touchdown. Made it 17-10 Cincinnati still. Then Randy Bullock kicks another field goal, which makes it 20-10 Cincinnati. And then the fourth quarter was all Pittsburgh. Chris Boswell kicks a 37-yard field goal in the beginning of the quarter, which makes it 20-13. Then Antonio Brown catches a 6-yard touchdown pass from Ben Roethlisberger. That makes it 20-20. And then with the game on the line and pretty much no time on the clock after it was snapped, Chris Boswell kicked a 38-yard field goal, which makes it 23-20. And like I said, that was pretty much the game right there. No time left on the clock, so the Steelers won that one 23-20. And now I want to talk about. We could talk about the game. There's really not much to say. It's just the Bengals were leading for most of the game, and fourth quarter comes, and they don't know how to play football. It looked like they couldn't score. They couldn't do anything. AJ Green had no catches in the fourth quarter, and yeah, like I said, the Bengals simply couldn't do anything against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was doing whatever they wanted, and like I said, the Bengals were just letting it happen. That defense wasn't doing anything at all to stop them. For most of the game, like in the first quarter, Cincinnati jumped out to a big lead. Like I said, it was 17-0, and the momentum was on their side. This is a team playing at home, 5-6 right now. If they win, then they would have been 6-6, only a game back Baltimore for that 6th wild card spot right there. And they simply just blew it. They couldn't handle Pittsburgh. They couldn't stop them. Right now, this is why Pittsburgh is the best team in the AFC, according to me. That's what my opinion is right now. Let's talk a little bit about that, actually, all right? So we got Pittsburgh right now. Let me pull up the standings right here, okay? And the AFC is extremely weak. Like, I'm going to say that every show just to remind everyone how weak the AFC is, okay? But we got But we got Pittsburgh at number 1 at the 1 seed, okay? They're 10-2, and New England's 10-2 at number 2, all right? So I guess the majority of people are going to go with New England being the best team in the league, obviously, okay? Because let me pull up New England right here, all right? Let's see. They started off. Let's see, when did they get their second loss? Okay, obviously they got blown out by the Chiefs week 1, okay? Then they lost to the Panthers, which was, let's see, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, okay? So they started off 2-2. They pulled off 10 straight, all right? 10 wins in a row, okay? Then let's look at Pittsburgh right here. When did they get their second loss? Let's see right here. Let's go. We got it right here, all right? Beginning of the season, they faced off, okay, with the Browns. They won that one, beat the Vikings, they lost to the Bears 23-17. Ooh, that's a bad loss. And they got blown out by Jacksonville, which made it 30-9. So they started off, 3-2 in their first 5 games. Okay, so they've won 9 in a row. Both teams are on hot streaks. All right, the Steelers beat a Chiefs team 19-13 in Arrowhead when the Chiefs were actually a decent team. Okay, beat the Lions when they are a decent team. They blew out the Titans 40-17 on Thursday night. Remember that? Antonio Brown won me my fantasy game right there, just based off of that performance. And then they struggled against the Packers, won 31-28 against a bad Brett Hundley led team. And then they struggled against the Bengals, which made it 23-20, all right? So pretty much logically speaking, I guess you would say, you know what? Patriots are the best team in the league because they've been blowing teams out and playing good football. But you know what? I don't really go off of how you win. I just go off of if you win. And like I said, both teams are 10-2 right now. And teams are trying to discredit the Steelers as being the best team in the league right now because they struggled against the Packers and against the Bengals, but you know what? According to me, it doesn't really matter how you win the game, just as long as you win. This is the NFL right here, right? You're playing against professional football players. All these guys got talent, otherwise they wouldn't be in the league. So I feel like the whole, Pittsburgh hasn't been winning good or they haven't been blowing teams out. Who cares? That's a dumb argument right there. It really doesn't mean anything to me, all right? Pittsburgh right now, you know why they're the best team in the league right now, okay? Because they're playing like the best team in the league, even with them struggling against those teams, all right? They got the best wide receiver in the league. They got the best running back in the league. They got a top 5 quarterback. Okay, they got a top 5 offensive line. Their defense plays well except for the cornerbacks, all right? As for New England, they got a pretty good wide receiver. Okay, they got a pretty good running back who might lose his job after one fumble, all right? Then you got Tom Brady, who I'll give you that is the best quarterback in the league. Rob Gronkowski, he's going to be suspended actually next week against the Miami Dolphins on Monday night because of that one hit he had, but he's the best tight end in the league. Is there anyone else that can really? No, there's no one else that can really come close to him. Like Travis Kelce, I guess, but Gronk is just a whole different animal, and then that defense gives up a bunch of yards, not too many points, but you're not going to be able to give up a bunch of yards to the Steelers and hold them to no points because you know what? Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell aren't going to allow you to do that. They're going to do what they want against your defense. So that's actually, boom, I just made my argument right there. That's why I think the Steelers are the best team in the league, all right? It's going to come down to New England because they play each other in 2 weeks. The Patriots got the Dolphins on Monday night, and the Steelers got the Ravens on Sunday night, I believe, this week. And then, like I said, the week after that is when they'll be playing each other. And you know it's going to come down to the Patriots bend but don't break defense because that's what they've been playing all season. You know what? It's going to break against the Steelers because, like I said, you're not going to keep Antonio Brown out of the end zone, okay? You're not going to keep Juju Smith-Schuster from making plays, okay? Martavius Bryant seeming like he's a new guy starting to accept his new role. And then, like I said, okay, Le'Veon Bell, he's going to get his on the ground, but you know what? He's going to come out of the backfield and catch some passes and play even better. And then you got Ben Roethlisberger, who knows what it takes to win. So right now, the Steelers are better than the Patriots. I was about to say by far, but I don't want to go too that far. But yeah, I still think right now the Steelers are the number 1 team in the AFC. Probably the 3rd best team. I think I'm going to do some power rankings in this next segment. just so I can say a little something about each team right here. I might do it in the third. Yeah, I'll do power rankings in the next segment just so I can talk about it. See where I have. I'll probably do that every Tuesday too after the show. After the week is the week in the NFL is already done, we'll do some power rankings, see where it all shaked up. Because now we got the Eagles who lost, and then we got the Vikings who won. They're both 10-2 right now, but we'll talk about that in the next segment. But going back to the Steelers right now, yeah, they're the best team in the AFC, and it's really. That's until they lose to the Patriots. If they lose to the Patriots, if not, then they're still the best. So just give them the respect right now. That's all they need right now. But see, as for the Bengals, they're pretty much done. I really don't like where the Bengals are headed. Okay, they're 5-7 right now. This was pretty much the only chance they had at keeping up in the race in the AFC for the wild card. Because they were 5-6, they win. Boom, they're 6-6. Only a half game back of Baltimore for that 6th spot. But they lost. They choked away the lead. All right. Now they're going to be playing the Bears next week. Cincinnati should be able to win that one, but you never know. Against the Bengals or Vikings, they'll lose at Minnesota. That's where the game's going to be. And then they play Detroit the week after that. They'll lose that one. And then I'm sure they'll lose in Baltimore too. So right now the Bengals are done. And let's talk a little bit about Marvin Lewis. All right. If the Bengals don't make the playoffs, does Marvin Lewis come back? Honestly, I don't even think they should have brought him back after last season when they lost in the first round. I think it was in the playoffs. Okay. After that, I thought, you know what, it's time. Marvin Jones, is it Marvin Lewis? Did I say Marvin Jones earlier? I meant Marvin Lewis. But Marvin Lewis has pretty much overstayed his welcome in Cincinnati. I think it's time for both to move on. All right, Marvin Lewis, he's not a bad coach or anything like that, but it's pretty much now, I mean, the Bengals really aren't getting any better, okay? It's like they're pretty much stuck in this little average, above averageness, okay? Like I said, they're 5-7 right now, so I mean, you could say they're a below average team, but for the last couple of years, they've been an above average team who make it in the first round of the playoffs, and they get bounced year after year, all right? How often do you want to be going through that cycle? I hear people say, you know what, well, I'd rather be in the playoffs and lose first round than not in the playoffs and pretty much try and rebuild, and I'm on the opposite right there, okay? If I'm making the playoffs every year and getting bounced every year in the first round, obviously something's not working because we're not getting any better, okay? We're just staying the same, all right? We're not beating any of the big teams. We're just showing up, getting kicked out, going home, and doing the same thing next year, all right? That doesn't work, all right? They need to start playing better, okay? They got A.J. Green, one of the best receivers in the NFL, top 5 receiver for sure. Andy Dalton, who can play like a top 10 quarterback in the league when he wants to, okay? Joe Mixon was playing well this season, and that defense has been playing well. They're way better than 5-7, right? They got a bunch of talent out there where it needs to be start being maximized, and that's not what's happening this season, all right? Marvin Lewis hasn't playing like a 5-7 team, and like I just said, they're not a 5-7 team. They got way too much talent to be this bad. So I think after this year, I mean, unless somehow, not even if they make the playoffs by some miracle, because I know the AFC is that bad. They're only 2 games back of the Ravens right now. So I guess they still have a chance, but like I said, I don't see them really winning those games coming up on their schedule. So I think they're going to end up finishing probably 6-10 at best, maybe 7-9. But yeah, I think after this year, it's time for them to move on to Marvin Lewis. But we're going to see what they want to do after the season. But that's actually going to wrap it up for this segment. Like I said, the Steelers are better than the Patriots right now. Steelers are the best team in the AFC. It's just because it's that whole Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell factor from you right there, all right? When you got those two guys out there, your offense is unstoppable, and I just like them better than the Patriots right now. But like I said, we'll see about it in 2 weeks, see how those teams do against each other head-to-head. Winner, that's probably going to come out as the best team in the AFC, I'm willing to say. So, yeah, like I said, we'll figure it out when that time comes. But that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to do some power rankings for the NFL, and then after that, in the third segment, we'll talk about pretty much talk about teams in the AFC, what they got going on, any news going on with teams like that, and then to wrap up the show, we'll probably talk about teams in the NFC, talk about pretty much how we do with the AFC, how we do like the last couple of shows on Tuesdays. We'll pretty much just talk about each conference and talk about teams individually. I know I'm going to rank teams coming up, but we'll go a little bit more in depth on the teams in each conference in the third and fourth segments. And we'll talk a little bit in that fourth segment, too, about anything else going on in football. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's GSMCpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. If you missed that last segment or need a quick reminder, we talked about the Monday Night Football game, talked about how I still think that the Steelers are better than the Patriots in the AFC right now. They're both the top two teams, and that's not a doubt or anything like that in the AFC. But as of right now, I just think Pittsburgh is better than New England, and that could change in 2 weeks when they play each other. But as of right now, Pittsburgh is that number one team for me in the AFC. As for Cincinnati, their season's pretty much done. They got, let's see who they got next week. They got the Bears, they got the Vikings, then they got Detroit, then they got Baltimore. So, yeah, they're done. I'm giving up on them. And I think that if they don't make the playoffs or do anything and just pretty much, like I said, just finish under 500, then Marvin Lewis should be gone. But we'll see how it all plays out. I'm not the GM, so I can only give my opinion. But as for this segment, we're going to do some power rankings right here. So let's just get into it right now, all right? At number one, it's going to be a lot more different than other people's number ones. Believe it or not, at number one, I still got the Eagles, okay? Not ready to give up on them yet for that number one spot. Okay, winning in Seattle is not easy, like I talked about yesterday on the podcast. And I'm not ready yet to jump off of that bandwagon, all right? I still think that they're the number one team in the league. At number two, I get the Vikings. And you know what? Number one and number two are pretty interchangeable right now, okay? You could have the Vikings at number one, and I'd have no problem putting the Vikings at number one. Me having Philly at number one right now is just pretty much just me sticking to what I've been saying the last couple of days and even last week, all right? This isn't the game, like I said, to judge Philly off of. It's going to be against the Rams next week. If the Rams the Rams beat the Eagles next week, then yeah, Philly's going to slide a couple of spots. But as of right now, I'm not ready to move them down. And at number two, I just feel at Minnesota right now, if I had to pick between one or two, I'm going to pick Philly against Minnesota in a game head-to-head. So that's why I got Minnesota at number two. But I'm not trying to take anything away from the Vikings right now. Like I said, you could easily have them at number one, and I'd have no problem with it. Case Keenum's been playing extremely well. Mike Zimmer needs to come out and say that's our quarterback for the rest of the season, win or lose, because that should be the way. That's how it should be. And then you got Jerick McKinnon and Latavius Murray playing well at the running back position. Then you got Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen playing well at the wide receiver position. Adam Thielen really needs to get his respect. The guy's a top 10 wide receiver. Kyle Rudolph's been playing well, and as usual, the last 6 years, the defense has been playing well too. So, yeah, I got Minnesota at number two. At number three, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, I talked about them in the last segment, talked about why I think they're the best team in the AFC, talked about why I think they're better than the Patriots, and and like I say, yeah, it just pretty much comes down to Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and Ben Roethlisberger. And like I said, that defense isn't as bad as it looks. It's just the cornerbacks who are just brutal. But at number four, I got New England. Obviously, I'd have them at number four because I don't think they're better than Pittsburgh, and I think they're better than New Orleans, who's going to be my fifth team. But talking about New England, you got Tom Brady, who's playing well. He's looking like the MVP frontrunner right now, or at least him, Carson Wentz, and Russell Wilson are going to be fighting for that MVP award. Russell Wilson, don't sleep on him getting that award, okay? If Seattle makes playoffs, given their schedule, because they got Jacksonville, they got, who else do they got? Man, I'm drawing a blank right now. They got Jacksonville, they got the Rams, and then they got the Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott coming back that week, okay? To make the playoffs and win those three games, or at least 2 out of 3, and like I said, just make the playoffs, you're probably going to see Russell Wilson be your NFL MVP this season, but we're going to see how it all plays out. But back to New England at number 4. Yeah, like I said, their defense, I said in the last segment, their defense is pretty much a bend-don't-break defense. They'll give up a lot of yards, but they're not going to give up points to you really at all. And Deion Lewis has been playing well. Rex Burkhead's been having a solid season, and then Brandon Cooks and Rob Gronkowski have been playing well. Like I said, Rob Gronkowski, though, he's going to be suspended Monday night against the Dolphins, so we'll see if that has any effect on the game. Not too sure if it will, but we'll talk about that on Friday's podcast when we get there. At number 5, I have the New Orleans Saints. Okay, I was pretty much deciding between them or the Rams, but as of right now, I want to put the Saints right there. Okay, I think the Saints are better than the Rams, but not by a lot. It's just the whole Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, two-headed monster at running back is what's winning me over right now. The defense has been playing well. Then you got Michael Thomas, who got his first touchdown after a long bad streak of like 7 games without one. And that streak really didn't hurt my fantasy team, but it could have. So get it together, Michael Thomas. But either way, yeah, just right now the Saints are playing just good football right now. There's nothing more to say about them. It's just, like I said, the two-headed monster at running back has got them playing well. Let me check out their schedule. They beat the Panthers, who were 8-3 at the time. But yeah, let me see who the Saints got going up next for the rest of the season. Let's see. They got the Falcons. That's going to be a win right there. That's on Thursday night, I think. Finally, we get a decent Thursday night game. Then they got the Jets, Falcons again, and then the Bucks. Man, I can't talk today at all. But yeah, so it's not too hard of a schedule right there. The Falcons, I think, are overrated. They're not a good football. Well, they have talent, but they're not being utilized the right way. And I think that just goes back to the offensive coordinator, but I've said enough about him over the last few podcasts. But yeah, I got New Orleans at number 5. At number 6, I got the Rams. Okay, like I said, 5 and 6 is interchangeable, just as number 1 and number 2 are. But I got the Rams at number 6. They got the best offense in the league right now. Jared Goff has been playing well. Todd Gurley's playing well as far as catching the ball and running the ball. And then you got Cooper Kupp, who's been playing extremely well as a rookie. And then that defense, like I said, is just lights out so far this season. So yeah, I got the Rams at number 6. At number 7, I got the Seattle Seahawks. They're playing extremely well. They got a tough schedule coming up. But Russell Wilson, and when he's out there, you always got a chance to win, all right? Let me see how many home games they have coming up, though. I know that they're playing the Jaguars, then the Rams, and then the Cowboys, and then the Cardinals. Let me see who they got if they have any home games coming up for the rest of the season. Let's see. All right, so I got the schedule up right here. They got Jaguars on the road. Okay, yeah, so they only have 2 home games out of their last 4 games, all right? So they got the Rams at home, and they got the Cardinals at home. Dallas and Jacksonville, those are going to be tough games right there since they'll be on the road. And I'm not liking their chances against Jacksonville right now just because of that Jacksonville Jaguars defense. But you know what? Seattle's defense, even without Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman, they're no pushovers right there. And Blake Bortles is not a good quarterback, according to me. So we'll see how it all goes. But yeah, I got Seattle at number 7. They're playing good football right now. At number 8, I got the Carolina Panthers. They really didn't move up or move down in my latest power rankings because I still think they're better than Jacksonville. They're better than Tennessee. They're better than Atlanta. They're pretty much better than anyone else I have named after this. I understand that they lost to the Saints and now they're 8-4, but either way, they're still in the 6th spot. Number 2 team as the wild card. And there's nothing to say really about Carolina, all right? Cam Newton gives them every chance to win. He's not going to beat you throughout the air. Through the air, he's going to pretty much beat you with his legs. So we're going to see how it all plays out. He did have 2 passing touchdowns in the last game, but like I said, he's not really an accurate quarterback. But either way, Cam Newton not being an accurate quarterback, Carolina's still a really good football team. I think that they will make the playoffs. I mean, it's too early to call. I mean, I'm still thinking about Green Bay and even Dallas, I guess, making the playoffs. If Dallas beats the Browns, then, I mean, there's still a chance right there. But we'll see how it all ends up for them. But yeah, I got Carolina at number 8. At number 9, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I believe last week in my power rankings, I had them at number 10. Can't remember exactly, but as of right now, they're at number 9. All right, that defense has been playing well. They just blew out the Colts. Let's see what else do they got going for him. Leonard Fournette, he's kind of cooled off, but he's still scoring touchdowns and pretty much just still getting the ball a lot throughout each game. Blake Bortles is the only player on that team I'm not even iffy about. I don't like Blake Bortles as a quarterback. Don't think he's a good quarterback. Ready for them to get Eli Manning, Kirk Cousins, or Lamar Jackson in the draft. Hopefully it's either Kirk Cousins or Lamar Jackson. I think Eli Manning is the wrong way to go for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You need a young quarterback right there, and right now, Kirk Cousins, they're a Super Bowl contender right there if they have Kirk Cousins playing quarterback, okay? I don't think Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback by any means, but he's a good quarterback. And you don't need to be great on that team. You just need to be good enough in order to help them get to the AFC Championship, and the defense is going to lead them all the way, pretty much going to keep them in every game, okay? Because you see that I think they're 7-4 or 8-4 right now. And, or are they 7-5? Are they 7-5 or 8-4? I'm going to double check right here because it's kind of bugging me. I kind of need to know. But let me see. I got it right here. Jacksonville currently is 8-4. Right? Yeah, they're 8-4. Currently the number 5 seed in that first wild card spot. So that's with Blake Bortles playing quarterback. And obviously, we all believe Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Blake Bortles. So if they're 8-4 right now, just imagine what they'd be with Kirk Cousins or even Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, and I already think that he's way better than Blake Bortles. So yeah, I got Jacksonville at number 9. Then at number 10, I got Tennessee. Tennessee's currently leading that division, but I really don't like that team at all. I don't like Marcus Mariota. Okay, they're finally starting to figure out what to do with Derrick Henry, and it's pretty much that team doesn't excite me at all. So I got them at number 10. At number 11, I got Atlanta. Right now, they're 7-5. They're an underwhelming team, all right? They got all kinds of talent, but they're not making the most of it. So yeah, I got them at number 11. At number 12, I have the Chargers. They're 6-6 right now. They're in a three-way tie for first in that AFC West division. It's probably the worst division of all of football right now. The Kansas City Chiefs are garbage. The Oakland Raiders are still trying to figure out what to do this season. And the Chargers are the only team. Like, the Chargers started off really bad, but now they're starting to pick it up, and they're looking like a really good team in the AFC right now. I think they'll be able to pull out a playoff game. I think they are going to win the division, so yeah, I think they'll be able to pull out a game in the first round. They'll probably be playing, they'll probably be playing, they'll be playing actually the Jaguars and Titans. If they face the Jaguars, then I still think they'll win because I don't think Blake Bortles is good enough to win a playoff game. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. If the Chargers make the playoffs like I expect, then I expect them to win their first game in the playoffs in the first round. Move on after that. I'll probably play like the Patriots or the Steelers and lose then. But right now the Chargers, I got them at number 12. Phillip Rivers has been playing good. Melvin Gordon's been playing well, and so is Keenan Allen. Excuse me. But at number 13, I got the Detroit Lions. All right, they got blown out by the Ravens. Ooh, actually, I'm going to put the Ravens at number 13. These teams play head to head, so obviously I got to have the Ravens at number 13. They're 7-5 right now. They get that 6th spot in the AFC right now. They're the second wild card team, and they're playing like how you'd expect the Ravens play towards the end of the season. All right, playoffs are coming up, so they gotta pick up their play, and that's exactly what they've done so far. Like I said, they're just 7-5. Joe Flacco's played all right this last game against Detroit, and that defense has been lights out all season. So I got Baltimore number 13. Number 14, I got Detroit. They got blown out by the Ravens, obviously. Matt Stafford came out of that game injured. Hopefully he plays Sunday. But right now, the Detroit Lions are going to have to win out in order to make playoffs, I feel. At number 15, I got the Oakland Raiders. Not sure what to think of Oakland right now, okay? They started off the season really poorly, all right? They're starting to pick it up, but, I mean, their defense is what kills me. They're not going to win any playoff games with that defense. That defense is complete garbage, all right? Derek Carr, he's been playing good, but not as well as he was playing last season, I feel. But Marshawn Lynch is starting to get the ball a lot more. He's been running the ball a lot better. Amari Cooper has pretty much had stone hands the entire year, and Michael Crabtree was suspended for the last game, but it didn't matter because they played the Giants, and the Giants are terrible. And the Giants are terrible too, but we're going to see how it all plays out for Oakland. Right now, like I said, they're in a three-way tie for first. That division is terrible. It's brutal. The Chiefs are pretty much done. But it's going to come down to Oakland and the Chargers for that division, I guess. Not I guess. That's what it's going to come down to. I don't like the Chiefs at all. At number 16, I got Buffalo. They're just the Buffalo Bills. They're that team who they're going to start off really hot. You're going to think, oh, yeah, they're going to end their playoff drought, and they're going to snatch your heart right out of your chest and not make the playoffs. I'm talking about Bills fans right there. I mean, it must stink to go year after year and just have hope, and then, boom, they just kill that hope right there. But, yeah, I got Buffalo at number 16. There's really not much to say. Tyrod Taylor got carted off in his last game, I believe it was. I believe that he was carted off. I know he left the last game, but I think he was carted off. So if he's not playing for the rest of the season or even out next week, they have no chance with Nathan Peterman playing quarterback. At number 17, I have the Dallas Cowboys. There's not really much to say about Dallas right now. I mean, if they beat the Browns, or not the Browns, I'm thinking of the Packers, but if they win their next two games, which is against the Giants and Raiders, then you got Zeke back. You'll be 8-6, and they got a chance of making the playoffs. So I mean, that's really all we could say about the Cowboys right now. Dak Prescott's not as good of a quarterback as he was advertised with Ezekiel Elliott back there, and obviously if he's a good quarterback with Zeke and he's not one without, then obviously he's not that good of a quarterback. That's just how it is. He's not a good quarterback, and Ezekiel Elliott is what helps him out. At number 18, I got the Green Bay Packers. This is a sneaky team right here. All right, they beat the Browns next week. They're 7-6, and then. Or are they 8-6? I think they're 6-6 right now. Let me double check that schedule. Make sure I got this all right. All right. So right now they are 6-6. Yeah, if they beat the Browns, they'll be 7-6. Then they'll be playing the Panthers. But you know who's going to be playing the Panthers as Green Bay's quarterback that week, or at least it's looking like it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. So the Green Bay has to get this win against the Browns, or else they're done. Because I'm not moving off of my statement that it's going to take at least 10 wins to get into the playoffs for the NFC. So the Green Bay Brett Hundley just needs to be just not terrible. He's got to be good and he's got to be average, like even below average against the Browns. It's not like just below average against the Browns, and they should be able to win. So Green Bay really needs this game this Sunday against the Browns. At number 19, though, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to be falling. I think they got the Raiders this Sunday. So, yeah, I have them falling all the way. They're going to lose to the Raiders. I have no doubt about that in my mind. Don't like the Chiefs at all, all right? I can't stand how they started off hot and then they just pretty much blew it. It makes no sense to me. But yeah, I got the Chiefs at number 19. Number 20, I got the team that just lost to the Steelers on Monday night. I got the Cincinnati Bengals at number 20, all right? They got all the talent. They got all kinds of talent on that team. They just haven't utilized it enough, all right? They haven't maximized that talent. And right now, they're the 20th best team in the league to me right now. There's just really not much to say about them. If they don't make the playoffs, I think they should fire Marvin Lewis, but we'll get there when we get there. At number 21, I have the Washington Redskins. And Washington is pretty much, their season's down. They have 7 losses. And I think they should just honestly bench Kirk Cousins, just because if they keep Kirk Cousins out there, they're going to win a couple of more games, and that's just going to hurt that draft spot. And like I said, Kirk Cousins is most likely going to be leaving at the end of in the offseason. So, I mean, do you really want to go into next season without a good quarterback and pretty much lose almost every game? Because that's what's going to happen. But we'll see what Washington wants to do. At number 22, I got the Jets. They just beat the Chiefs 38-31. Josh McCown's been playing well all season. Robbie Anderson's been he's been their best receiver by far this season, and the defense, I like them. They're quick. They don't try to do too much. They fill their gaps, and like I said, they just do their job. So I got the Jets at number 22. At number 23, I have the Miami Dolphins. They just beat down on the Broncos 35-9. That offense has been garbage all season, but you know what? Kenyon Drake's been playing well. We'll talk more about him in the next segment as far as AFC goes. But yeah, just right now I got the Dolphins at number 23. They got the Patriots on Monday night at home, so we'll see what they can do there. At number 24, I have the Arizona Cardinals. Their season's done. Blaine Gabbert's their quarterback, so it's pretty much, there's nothing to say about the Cardinals right now. I mean, you should pretty much look ahead to the future. Larry Fitzgerald's playing good, so I mean, they got that going for them. But there's not really much to say about these teams 22 through 32. They're just out there right now, okay? I mean, the Jets and Dolphins, I guess they're still in the playoff race, and if the Dolphins were somehow to sneak in a win against the Patriots on Monday night, then you start putting some hype around them because they'll be 6-7, but they beat the Patriots on Monday night if that happens. So we'll see how it all plays out. But really, all these other teams, I mean, the Jets too, you could talk about. They're 5-7, but are they going to be able to pull out 4 wins in a row? We'll see how it goes. So really, it's 24 through 32. Those teams right there really have nothing going for them except for the Niners, but we'll talk about them a little later on in these power rankings. At number 25, I have the Houston Texans. Like I said, nothing really to talk about right there. I mean, they're going to have a low draft pick. They're going to be getting Deshaun Watson back next year, obviously off of injury. Hopefully he comes back good. So we'll see how it all ends up for them. But there's really not much you can say about them. Their season's already over. As for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I got them at 26. All right, Jameis Winston needs to pretty much just be a smarter quarterback, and he'll become a great one. He's making all these dumb turnovers, and those dumb turnovers are why they lost the game against Green Bay. All right, if he just takes a sack and doesn't try to make something out of nothing and fumble the ball like he did, then the Green Bay Packers lineman doesn't pick it up and take it all the way to the house for the game-winning touchdown. And you know what? He's hurting his coach's job security right now because his team was supposed to make playoffs, but Jameis Winston is making these boneheaded mistakes, and they have no chance. At number 27, I have the Chicago Bears. I really like Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. Jordan Howard really needs to figure out what's going on right now. These last 2 games, he hasn't played well. And I think they're 3-8 right now. 3-9, one of those. At number 28, I have the Indianapolis Colts. They're 3-9 also, I believe. And Jacoby Brissett, I've been saying it, and I'll say it again. They need to trade him in the offseason, try to get something out of him, like a good draft pick. They'll probably get a 3rd or 4th rounder out of him. But we'll see how it all plays out for them. At 29, I got the San Francisco 49ers, all right? They've been playing all right with Jimmy G out there. He played well. He got them, helped lead them to a win. I guess he didn't throw for any touchdowns, so I'm not really sure. I mean, how much do you say he led them? He did get them down the field for that last drive in order to put Robbie Gould in position to kick that game winner. So we'll see. We're just too early to tell on Jimmy G right now, but he did play all right in the last game. Number 30, I got the Denver Broncos. They're garbage. They're terrible. Their quarterbacks are awful. Their defense is bad. There's really nothing going for them. They got blown out by the worst offense in the league, one of the worst offenses in the league at 35-9. So not much to say about the Denver Broncos. At number 31, I get the New York Giants, pretty much as dysfunctional as the Browns have been these last, how long have the Browns been a team for? The new Browns? Yeah, that's how long the Browns have been dysfunctional for, too. But, yeah, the Giants, I mean, they fired McAdoo and Jerry Reese. So, I mean, they got that going for them right now. So, I got them at 31. At number 32, I got the Cleveland Browns. They lost to the Chargers. I picked them to win the Browns, but they couldn't make it happen. Josh Gordon's back, had 11 targets, caught 4 balls, had 85 yards. So, we'll see how he goes going forward. But, yeah, that's all. Those are my power rankings right there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to do a quick recap. All right, number 1, I got Philly. Number 2, Minnesota. Number 3, Pittsburgh. Number 4, New England. Number 5, New Orleans. Number 6, the Rams. Number 7, Seattle. Number 8, Carolina. Number 9, Jacksonville. Number 10, Tennessee. Number 11, Atlanta. Number 12, LA, as in the Chargers. Number 13, Baltimore. Number 14, Detroit. 15, Oakland. 16, Buffalo. 17, Dallas. 18, Green Bay. 19, Kansas City. 20, Cincinnati. 21, Washington. 22, the Jets. 22, Miami. 24, Arizona. Arizona, 25 Houston, 26 Tampa Bay, 27 Chicago, 28 Indianapolis, 29 San Francisco, 39 Denver, 31 New York, and again, to round it out, I got Cleveland at number 32, but we got to wrap up this segment. Next up, we're going to talk about the AFC, and then the last segment, we'll talk about the NFC, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We're going to be talking about the AFC, in this segment. In that last segment, I did my power rankings in the NFL. Let me give you my top 10 just to remind everyone. Let's see right here. I got Philly at number 1, Minnesota at number 2, Pittsburgh at number 3, New England at number 4, New Orleans at 5, the Rams at 6, Seattle at 7, Carolina at 8, Jacksonville at 9, and then to round it up at the top 10, I got Tennessee. After that, it's pretty much a toss-up. You could pretty much switch whoever you want and make an argument for it, but those are my top 10 teams right there in the league right now. And I know Philly, people are going to think, oh yeah, Philly just lost to Seattle, didn't they? Minnesota's 10-2 right now too, so they should be number 1. If you missed that last segment or need a quick reminder, I did say that you could switch either team and I'd be alright with it, but as of right now, I still think Philly is the best team in the league. And the only way that'll change is if they lose to the Rams this Sunday, but we'll see how it all plays out. But as for this segment, like I said, we're going to be talking about some AFC teams. Should pretty much talk about what they got going on for them right now. So let me start off with the Dolphins right now, all right? So this whole Kenyon Drake trade, all right? They traded Jay Ajayi trade, excuse me. I'm going to be talking about Kenyon Drake as a result of that trade. But so yeah, they trade Jay Ajayi, trade him for a 4th rounder, okay? I was baffled. I was like, what are these guys doing? Are they dumb? Why would you trade Jay Ajayi for a 4th round pick? Okay, on paper, I mean, the guy's a top 5 running back, and you could probably at least get a 3rd round pick or 2nd round pick for him maybe. But I mean, yeah, just on paper, the trade looked bad, but, I mean, in these last few weeks since he's been gone, Kenyon Drake has really took over, and he's looking like the running back of the future for the Dolphins right now. He had 130 yards and a touchdown against Denver, ran really well, and he does well to pretty much pick and choose his holes, and, he's really patient, too. That's one thing that not too many running backs have as a trait, okay? Patient running backs are good running backs, right? The most patient running back in the league is Le'Veon Bell, and that's why he's able to get so many yards on each player, right? He doesn't just, boom, hit the hole. He waits for it to open, boom, then hits it, and that's why he's always out there, and that's why he's the best running back in the league right now. But yeah, Kenyon Drake, he's just been playing extremely well. I think he's had a touchdown in every game he's played since Jay Ajayi has been gone, and I've been waiting for Kenyon Drake to get his chance. I knew since last season he's going to be something special, and I know it's only been a few games, so this is a small sample size, but last season, he was showing flashes of the kind of running back he could be. The guy's explosive and he's quick, all right, and he does well to make his cuts. So yeah, as of right now, Jay Ajayi trade on paper doesn't look too good, but I mean, what can you say? The offense hasn't gotten worse. I mean, it was already really bad, so I mean, it's pretty hard to get worse, but it's actually looked like the offense has gotten kind of better since they got rid of Jay Ajayi. Miami's running backs, they need fast, quick, and versatile running backs. They need guys who can catch passes out the backfield and block too. And this is what Kenyon Drake and Damian Williams can do. I'm sure that they're going to pick up a running back in the draft this upcoming draft, probably in the middle rounds, because I mean, Damian Williams and Kenyon Drake, I mean, I still think Kenyon Drake is going to be the guy of the future for them, but you really can't just bank it off of 2 guys. So, yeah, they're going to need to build up and try and draft another running back in this draft. Maybe a little bit to get Saquon Barkley in the top 10, because if Miami... Actually, Saquon Barkley is kind of a pipe dream for Miami right now. I don't think they're going to finish with that low of a pick. He's probably going to end up going to San Francisco if they keep Jimmy G. But let's see, who else do we got in the AFC? Who else do we need to talk about right now? Let's see, Tennessee and Jacksonville. I want to talk about that whole situation right now. All right, both teams are 8-4. Tennessee's currently got the lead in the ahead in the division off of a tiebreaker, okay, and Jacksonville's currently the number 5 team, number 1 team in the 2 wild card spots right now, all right? So I think that's going to change, all right? That's the division's going to come down to week 17 when they play each other, and I think that Jacksonville, they're going to be able to beat Seattle this week, this Sunday in Jacksonville. Let me see who Tennessee's got coming up this week. Let's see, who is Tennessee playing? They got the Cardinals, all right? So, I expect both teams to win. And then, you know what? It's going to be tough, okay? Because Tennessee has Arizona, then the 49ers. Those are 2 wins right there. But then they got the Rams. That's a loss. And then they got Jacksonville. And if I'm picking Jacksonville to win their division, I think Jacksonville's going to beat them. But you know what? Let's see Jacksonville's schedule going forward, too. Let's see how they're going to end up. All right, so then you got Jacksonville, they're playing Seattle, then they're playing Houston, the 49ers, and then the Titans. All right, yeah. Jacksonville, that's going to be my pick for the division right there, okay? Even with Blake Bortles playing quarterback, I still think they're going to be able to beat Seattle, all right? San Francisco is not a good football team yet. They're a team that's developing. They'll be able to beat them. Houston's not a good team with Tom Savage playing quarterback, and if I expect Jacksonville to win the division, then I expect them to beat the Titans in Week 17. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying right now. Right now, those 2 teams are tied, and Tennessee has that lead right there. But Jacksonville's going to end up coming out on top, I feel. And I'm really hoping that Kirk Cousins ends up coming to Jacksonville too. If he does, that team's going to be extremely dangerous next season. Let's see, Baltimore right now. They beat down on the Detroit Lions 44-20. They're going to be heading into Pittsburgh for Sunday Night Football. That's going to be a tough one right there. Then they got the Browns, the Colts, and the Bengals. Baltimore's going to probably pull this one out. They're probably going to make the playoffs. The only reason why they wouldn't is if that defense or that offense lets them down. The defense has been playing well, so the defense is obviously not going to let them down. But it's football, so things can change. But yeah, as of right now, it's just that offense has not been playing well. Last game they played extremely well. They had 44 points, but we're going to see if they can do it on a consistent basis. So, it's cool and all you put up 44 points, but to me, it's really all about that consistency. That's why I pick Antonio Brown over Julio Jones, and that's why I think that the Ravens are going to make the playoffs. Consistently, the last few years, they've showed us no matter how they're doing early on in the regular season, it's all about how they finish, and they always finish out strong, and they always make the playoffs. So, yeah, I like Baltimore making the playoffs. There's really nothing else much to say about Baltimore right now. It's just their defense has been playing well, and it's just that pretty much the same old Baltimore Ravens. All right, their offense is never gonna be flashy or anything like that. That's never been the Baltimore Ravens. They're always gonna win by defense and running the ball. And that's what they've been doing this season. So, yeah, right now they're 7-5, so we're going to see how it all ends up for them. Let's see. Kansas City, I know I've said a lot about them already the last couple of podcasts, but let's see. Right now, Kansas City really just hasn't. Kansas City's done, all right? I gave up on Kansas City. I really don't like them, and I don't understand them. I don't understand how you could go from being one of the best teams in the AFC and actually in the league and then just, boom, free falling like this, okay? Alex Smith, this is his last season in Kansas City. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes next year. I don't understand why they limited Kareem Hunt so much after these last few weeks. And when your quarterback is a game manager, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce aren't going to be able to do much. And they actually did play well on offense this last game against the Jets, but it didn't matter because that defense gave up 38 points to the Jets nonetheless. So we're going to see how it all ends up. But let's talk about the Raiders real quick, all right? Let's talk about the Raiders and Chargers. That's who the division is going to come down to, okay? The AFC West. It's going to come down to the Raiders or Chargers. That's going to be who wins it right there. I think that the Chargers are going to end up winning it. And you know what? I know I said that Baltimore's going to make the playoffs, and I still believe that. So it's looking like, for me at least, that Oakland's going to be missing out on the playoffs. But it's going to be close. I'm picking the Chargers right now to win their division because let's look at their schedule, okay? Plus, they're playing way better than the Raiders are now, and they're playing better than the Chiefs. That's another reason why, okay? The Raiders are out here winning games, but they're not looking good. They're not really looking their best. And I know earlier in the show I said it really doesn't matter in the NFL. It doesn't really matter in the NFL how you win. It's about if you win, and that's what they've been doing. And I'm kind of crisscrossing on that right now, okay? Because the Raiders and Chargers right now, it's just the only, it's not even about how they've been winning, okay? I said that wrong, okay? It's their defense. Their defense is what's keeping me from picking the Raiders to win the division, all right? Their offense, when they're all out there, they're one of the best in the league, okay? But that defense, that's the reason why they haven't been blowing teams out either. It's because their defense. Their defense is brutal and terrible, all right? If your defense isn't playing well, then you have no shot. So, like I said, the Raiders got a bad defense, so there's literally no reason for me to think that they can win the division when their defense can't even hold the lead or pretty much give their offense. Like, it's always on their offense, and you're gonna lose. When it comes down to the big time, you're gonna lose when your defense isn't out there playing well. Defense wins championships and defense wins games. I'll firmly believe that, and I'll always believe it. So, yeah, the Chargers got the Redskins, the Chiefs, the Jets, and the Raiders. Those are all winnable games right there. I'm sure they're gonna beat the Redskins. I'm sure they're gonna beat the Chiefs, and I'm sure they're gonna beat the Jets. Who knows? Maybe that game at the end of the season between them and the Raiders is what's gonna decide the division. But if I had to pick one, I'm picking the Chargers. It's just the Raiders defense is what kills me right now, and I'm not trying to hate on them or anything like that. It's just that defense is brutal. So we're going to see how it all ends up for them. But that's going to wrap it up for the segment. Actually, next up, we're going to talk some NFC, and we're going to talk about anything else going on in the world of football, like NFL or college football. It doesn't really matter. But that's going to wrap it up for the segment. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. That last segment, we talked about a couple of AFC teams. Let's see, we talked about the Dolphins and Kenyon Drake, pretty much how they've been doing since that J.J. trade. We talked about Kansas City, the Raiders and the Chargers. Pretty much talked about how it's going to come down to the Chargers and the Raiders for that division. And we talked about Tennessee and Jacksonville, who I think is going to win that division. And then we talked about Baltimore right there, too. And I wrapped it up right there. And then as for this segment, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to be talking NFC football right now. And this is another chance for me to put out there that the AFC is weak, and the NFC is right now is by far the better conference. And the Super Bowl champion is, you know what? I don't know if I want to say that the Super Bowl champion is going to come out of the NFC right now. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say that, okay? I think the Super Bowl champion is going to come out of the AFC, all right? I know it's still early, so I'm going to probably change my mind as the season goes on. But as of right now, you know what? Give me Pittsburgh or New England versus any of those teams in the NFC right now, okay? You want to know why? Minnesota, I don't even think they've ever won a Super Bowl. And if they have, it had to be sometime in the 70s or a long time ago. And Philadelphia, they've never won a Super Bowl in their lifetime. Rams, have they won a Super Bowl? Have they even been around for that long? I don't even think they have. Yeah, they haven't even won a Super Bowl either. Actually, they have. Yeah, they have. Yeah, they beat the greatest show on turf. I was drawing a blank right there. They have. My bad right there. Rams have. Saints have won it. Seattle has. And Carolina's never. Okay, so those 6 teams, they all have a chance of making the Super Bowl right there. Those 6 teams. Even Cam Newton and that Carolina Panthers team. Even my thoughts on that offense and Cam Newton as a quarterback throwing the ball, it doesn't matter. They still have a chance of making the Super Bowl because they got a great defense. And like I said, Cam Newton, no matter how bad he plays, he's just that one quarterback right there that you know he's always going to give your team a chance to win a game. So, you know what? Yeah, those 6 teams all have a chance of making the Super Bowl. But I'll take New England or Pittsburgh over any of those teams right now, any day of the week. You want to know why? Because you know what? Those teams have been there, but they've been there multiple times, all right? And you know what? Like I said, the Saints, they've won Super Bowls with Drew Brees, all right? But that was when Reggie Bush was their running back, okay? Reggie Bush ain't there. It's Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram. They don't know what that's like. Neither does the rest of that team, all right? The Rams, they don't know what that's like. They don't know what that's like because this is a young team right here. Sean McVay, rookie coach right here. So, I mean, they're going to have trouble winning the Super Bowl and all that. Minnesota, this team barely even knows what the playoffs are like. And Philadelphia, this is probably the first time in a while they've been this good. I know they've been pretty decent over the years, but they haven't been this good in a while. So, I mean, if I had to pick one team from the NFC to go to the Super Bowl, actually, it's going to be between Philly, the Saints, or Seattle. I feel it's going to be between those 3 teams just because right now I think Philly's the best team in the NFC, so I got them. I don't think Case Keenum's good, but I don't think he's Super Bowl good. The Rams are going to need another year, I feel. New Orleans, they got Drew Brees right there. That's a Hall of Famer who's won a Super Bowl before, so I got them having a chance. And Seattle is just one of the better teams in the NFC, and they've been there multiple times over the last few years, so they got a chance. But you know what? They don't have Ben Roethlisberger. They don't have Tom Brady. They don't have Antonio Brown. They don't have Rob Gronkowski. They don't have Deion Lewis and Rex Burkhead, who have been playing extremely well. I know those aren't big names right there, but they've been playing great. They don't have Le'Veon Bell, okay? And they don't have those coaches, Bill Belichick or Mike Tomlin, all right? Those are two guys right there. They know what it takes, all right? So, I'm going to say that right now before I even get into this NFC talk. The NFC is way better than the AFC, but if I had to pick my Super Bowl champion right now, it's either going to be the Steelers or the Patriots. And that's just the way it is right now. I understand all these NFC teams got good records, but when it comes down to the bright lights and when it matters most, give me a team who's been there, a team who knows how to do it, rather than a team who hasn't been there in years, a team who hasn't been there since 2000, or a team that's never been there at all. So that's just how it's going to be. But yeah, like I said, if I had to pick my Super Bowl winner, it's coming out of the AFC. But let's talk about the NFC right now. So let's say some good things at least. All right. Actually, we're going to say some bad things. Atlanta Falcons. Overrated. Overhyped. Not overhyped, but not even overrated, because the Falcons are a weird team. Like last year, they had the best offense, probably one of the best offenses of all time. And then Shanahan goes to the 49ers, and that's just it. Their offense hasn't looked the same. They're 7-5. They're playing like a weak team. You got Julio Jones. The guy's not consistent at all. He needs to be out there getting at least 12 targets a game and catching around 7 balls a game for at least 100 yards like Antonio Brown is doing, all right? Julio Jones, I mean, yeah, he's got all the physical traits to be one of the best receivers ever, but who cares if you're not putting up stats? That's what matters, okay? I know people like to talk about Julio's size, speed, all that. They're like, who cares? I could care less about all that, all right? What's the guy doing for my team? Okay, what's he producing right now? Oh, he's producing 252 games? Oh, that's only, once a season? Or maybe twice a season, if that? How often is he giving me 100-yard games? Oh, not too often? Maybe every other couple of games? Yeah, not good enough for me. All right, the dude playing in Pittsburgh is doing that with ease every single week. All right, Julio Jones needs to step it up. All right, Steve Sarkisian needs to figure out how to get the ball to the running backs in order to make that offense a whole lot better, okay? Because you know what? 20 touches between Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman ain't going to cut it, and he needs to figure out how to pretty much put everyone else in position. So you know what? Matt Ryan can make the throws that he needs to make in order to help that team become successful. I'm putting this all on Steve Sarkisian, all right? That's their offensive coordinator. For this team to go from how great they were last year to how bad they are this year with the new coordinator, that's all the coordinator right there. It doesn't matter. Okay, they got talent. It's all on the coordinator, right? He needs to figure it out, or they need to find a new coordinator, because you know what? This is unacceptable given all the talent that they got on that team. Oof. But, all right, next team we're going to talk about, Carolina Panthers, all right? This is a weird team right now, all right? I said all right a bunch of times right there, but Cam Newton, not a great quarterback through the air, okay? Not accurate, but you know he puts his team in the best position to win. They're 8-4. I really like their chances of making the playoffs right now, okay? But you know what? You know whose chances I also like? Green Bay's. I've been talking about them the last few podcasts because you know what? They're exciting me right now, all right? Because you got Aaron Rodgers who's going to be coming back week 15, I think, no matter what, but in order for it to mean something, the Packers got to beat the Browns in Lambeau, and I think that's what's going to happen, okay? Brett Hundley, not a good quarterback, not an average quarterback, not even a below-average quarterback, okay? He's a bad quarterback, but you know he's been mediocre enough to help this team get through the waters without Aaron Rodgers, all right? He's been doing well enough in order to give him a position for Rodgers to come back and finish off the job, and I think that's what might happen, okay? It's going to come down to the Packers or Carolina for that playoff spot. I know Atlanta right now is 7-5, but it doesn't matter. Atlanta's not making the playoffs. They don't deserve to make the playoffs, and they're not good enough to make the playoffs. Detroit, they're done right now. They're 6-6. Let's see who they got going forward right here. They'd have to win out in order to make the playoffs, and I don't think they're going to win out. I think they're going to beat the Bucks. I think they're going to beat the Bears, and I think they're going to beat the Bengals. But you know who's going to be playing Week 17 with the Packers? Aaron Rodgers. Going back to it's all coming full circle. All right, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy who knocks out Detroit, knocks out Atlanta, okay, and might knock out Carolina for that last spot. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, but we'll see. Let's see. Let's talk about the top 6 teams right now. Who do we want to talk about besides Carolina in the top 6? Let's go Seattle right now. Okay, they beat down on Philly 24-10 at home. All right. You know what? I know I had where did I have them on my power rankings? I think I had them at number 7, okay, below the Rams and below the Saints, okay. If Seattle beats Jacksonville in Jacksonville against that great defense, then I'm bumping Seattle up probably the top 5 right now, even above, bump them up 2 spots above the Rams and above the Saints, okay, because Seattle right now, like I said, if there was a team that were to beat the Patriots or the Steelers in the Super Bowl, it'd be probably the Seattle Seahawks, okay. I don't think Philly could beat them in the Super Bowl, and I don't think the Saints could beat them in the Super Bowl. I understand that I had Philly as my best team in my power rankings right now, but that's the regular season, right? Playoffs is a whole different animal. I do think that Philly's going to make the NFC Championship, and they do have a good chance of making the Super Bowl. But if they were to go up against a team like the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin are going to show them exactly what it's like to be a great team, all right? I don't think this is the year for Philly to get their first Super Bowl, but it's going to be coming soon, I feel. But right now, I just think the team in the NFC best equipped to win a Super Bowl against the Patriots or the Steelers is the Seattle Seahawks right now, okay? They got Russell Wilson. The guy launched himself into the MVP conversation, has a great chance of winning it if he wins out or even wins 3 out of his next 4 games or even 2 out of his next 3 games, okay? He just needs to make the playoffs and play well. If he makes the playoffs and plays well, then you know what? I'd give Russell Wilson my MVP award, unless Carson Wentz and co were to beat the Rams and win out for the rest of the season. If they do that, then I'm giving it back to Carson Wentz, but if the Philadelphia Eagles can't beat the Rams and the Seahawks end up making the playoffs and maybe even pull out the division, then I like Russell Wilson as my MVP. Tom Brady being my MVP, I think in order for him to win MVP, he's got to bring the Patriots to the number 1 seed and pretty much go 14-2. If not, then I'm giving it to Carson Wentz or Russell Wilson. It's too early to call right now, but right now it's between those 3 guys, and it's really more Carson Wentz and Russell Wilson, I feel, as the top 2 for that MVP award. Let's see who else do we got going on. But yeah, back to my point. Like I said, Seattle right now they're playing like a great team. They're gonna make the playoffs. They have a tough schedule, but that's my lock as one of the wild cards right there. Okay, I'm making it right now. Seattle's a lock for the playoffs for me. And like I said, that's the only team really equipped or even with the mindset, like just pretty much all the stuff. Because it's not just talent in order to win a Super Bowl. You pretty much need that big franchise mentality like the Steelers and Patriots have. This is why the Steelers have been so good, why the Patriots have been so good, okay? They got starts from the top, okay? The front office. Then you got Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin. They know how to run their teams, and they know what it takes, okay? Seattle, Pete Carroll, he knows what it takes. He's won a Super Bowl before. He's been to 2 Super Bowls the last few years, all right? I brought up that Super Bowl against the Patriots right there. That one hurt so bad right there. I lost some money on that Super Bowl. Why, Pete Carroll? Why? Why didn't you run the ball, give the ball to Marshawn Lynch on the 1? I'm still not over that, okay? Still not over Marshawn Lynch not getting the ball at the 1-yard line. Why are you going to throw it? I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm already getting frustrated. Let's talk about the Rams right now. Big game coming up against Philly, okay? Big game for both of them, okay? Philly wins is going to tell us, you know what? Philly, even with that bad loss against the Seahawks, they're still the best team in the NFC right now. Because you know what? The Rams are a great team right now. And for the Rams, this is going to show us, I already think that they're a great team in the NFC right now. But they're like knocking on that door of being in the same spot as Minnesota, the Vikings, Philadelphia, and I'm going to throw Seattle in there, okay? Seattle to me is in that top tier of the NFC with Minnesota, the Eagles, and themselves, okay? And the Rams right now, they're knocking on that door. They're so close to getting into that top tier. If they're able to beat a team like the Eagles, then they're definitely in that top tier. And I know the Saints probably, some could say that they belong there, but I'm not. The Saints, they're not as dominant as those teams, I feel like. Yeah, they win games, but this is where winning games, how you win games matters. It's when you're talking about tiers and stuff like that. Who's in the top tier, who's in the middle tier, who's in the bottom tier, okay? Right now in that top tier, it's the Eagles, it's the Seahawks, and it's the Vikings, okay? The Rams are right there, and the Saints, you know what, they gotta just dominate, in order to be there. But going back to the Rams, if they win this game, then boom, they're up there and they're NFC title contenders right there. And if they make it to the NFC Championship with that team, they do have a chance of making it to the Super Bowl. If they do make it to the Super Bowl, they're getting blown out. I'm saying that right now. If the Rams are somehow to make the Super Bowl, I'm putting all my money on a blowout from the AFC team if it's the Patriots or Steelers, and I'm almost certain it's going to be one of those 2 teams from the AFC. Let's see what else we got going on in the NFC right now. Let's talk about a bad team. Let's talk about the 49ers, all right? They're a young team. They're trying to rebuild right now. And you know what? So far, so good, I feel, okay? Jimmy Garoppolo, like I said, didn't throw for any touchdowns in his last game, threw an interception, only had 297 yards. But the biggest thing for me watching him right now for the rest of the season, how does he get his throws off? How are his mechanics? Okay, how's his chemistry with his receivers? Okay, because the stats are going to come as time goes on. Okay, that doesn't really matter to me right now. Plus, San Francisco really has nothing to play for, so win or loss doesn't matter. I want to see how Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play. And like I said, he brought them down the field in order to put Robbie Gould in a good position to kick that game-winning field goal. And that's all you can ask for that from that quarterback right now. So I'm not ready to make a decision on whether or not he's the guy. He's only got 3 starts under his belt in his NFL career. He's looked good in 3 of them so far. So maybe he is the guy, but just give it time. But other than that, that's going to wrap it up for my NFC talk right there. Once again, like I stated on earlier in the segment, if I had to make a pick for the Super Bowl right now, it's going to be come out of the AFC. It's going to be the Patriots or Steelers. But other than that, that's going to wrap it up. First segment, we talked about what did we talk about? I keep forgetting. Oh, yeah, we talked about the Monday night game. We talked about the Patriots and Steelers. Second up, we talked about my power rankings. Third segment, we talked about the AFC. And then this last segment, we talked about the NFC. So that's going to actually wrap it up for today's show. Like I said, we'll be back on Friday. Thanks again for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. And we'll talk to you soon, so stay tuned.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.